Curtis and Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Call 256-245-4361. In obituary news on this Friday morning, funeral service for Susan Harmon of Sylacauga. That service at Curtis and Son Funeral Home, and that will be coming up on, she died at the age of 67. Visitation is tonight, 4 to 5 at Curtis and Son North, with the funeral service 10 a.m. Midway Cemetery on Saturday in Talladega. That's on Highway 21. Graveside funeral service for Susan Harmon, age 67. Visitation tonight, 4 to 5 at Curtis and Son North. Graveside service 10 o'clock Saturday morning at Midway Cemetery in Talladega. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing that service. Clyde Robertson died yesterday. Curtis and Son Funeral Home in Sylacauga will announce the funeral arrangements. Kevin Crew also passed away on Thursday. Curtis and Son Funeral Home announcing that service. In other obituary news this morning, Ann Garrett passed away, and we'll have more on that in just a couple of moments here on the show, here on Daybreak Live. As I kind of look through these, we got many obituaries this morning. I'm just going to kind of go through them as I have them here. Jimmy Stacy, age 77, died on Tuesday. Curtis and Son Funeral Home announcing the arrangements. Also, funeral service for John Wayne Thomas. That service will be today. Graveside service at 11 o'clock. I'll be officiating that service at Evergreen Cemetery. Curtis and Son Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Ann Pruitt. That service will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. Graveside service from Evergreen Cemetery in Sylacauga. Ann Pruitt, Curtis and Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements there. Lisa K. Willis, age 54, died September the 6th. A private family service will be held at Center Hill United Methodist Church today at 2 o'clock. In lieu of flowers, the family asks that contributions be made to your local animal shelter or charity of your choice. Radney Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga directing. Funeral service for Ronnie Brown will be today at 2 o'clock from the chapel of Radney Smith Funeral Home. Reverend Jeff Harris officiating. Burial in the Childersburg City Cemetery. Mr. Brown died September 5th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Funeral service for Janice Gail Blair, age 73, is today at 11 o'clock from the chapel of Radney Smith Funeral Home. Brother David Vick officiating. Burial in the Fayetteville Cemetery. Mrs. Blair died September the 7th at her residence. Radney Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. Funeral memorial service for Rosa Pearl Sparks will be Saturday at Sims Funeral Home Chapel in Talladega at 2 o'clock. Ms. Sparks was a member of the Tallahatchie Baptist Church. Sims Funeral Service in Talladega in charge of the arrangements. Celebration of life for Mrs. Annie Dorothy Welch of Talladega is 11 o'clock Saturday at Lane Chapel Cemetery. Elder James Samuels will deliver the eulogy. It is strongly recommended that you bring your chair, umbrella, and mask. Visitation will be today, 1 until 7 at the funeral home. The family will receive friends, 6 until 7. And Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary directing that service. In other obituary news this morning, Steve Roger Barker, age 69, died September the 7th. Funeral service 2 o'clock today at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega, with Kevin Jones officiating. Visitation for extended family and friends prior to the service beginning at 1 o'clock, also at Ursery Funeral Home. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. The family of Dr. Harold A. Franklin, age 88, announced his passing September the 9th. Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary will announce the funeral arrangements. And Kevin L. Garrett, age 44, died September the 8th. Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary will announce the arrangements there. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Miss Peggy Lois Jordan Pryor is Saturday at 11 o'clock from S.M. Goodson Funeral Home Chapel with the Reverend Willie J. Posey officiating. Interment to follow in the Greenfield CME Church Cemetery. Public viewing is today, 2 till 7 at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home directing. Jesse Williamson Smith, age 83, died September the 7th. Funeral service for, that is Bessie Williamson Smith, age 83. Funeral service for Ms. Smith will be 11 o'clock this morning at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega with Tommy Strickland officiating. Also, Jeffrey Oliver assisting in the officiating of the service. And Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega directing. Homegoing celebration remembering the life of Mr. Gilbert Turner, age 66, is today at 1 o'clock from Union Springs Baptist Church Cemetery with Pastor Bob McLean officiating. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home directing. Memorial service for Ms. Tammy Lee Spears Davis, age 56, is Sunday at 2 o'clock from Stone Ridge Baptist Church in Tallapoosa County with Brother Brent Self officiating. Service will live stream on the Stone Ridge Baptist Church YouTube channel. Ms. Davis died September 3rd at Russell Medical Center in Alexander City. And Mr. Oliver Moten Jr. died September 5th at East Alabama Medical Center. Graveside service, 11 o'clock Saturday at Armour's Memorial Garden in Alexander City. There'll be no public viewing. Armour's Memorial Funeral Home directing. Celebration of life for Mr. William Antonio Tony Lawler, age 55, is Saturday at noon from Evergreen Cemetery in Sylacauga. The Reverend Robert Duncan officiating. Visitation is today, 1 until 7 at the funeral home. Mass will be required for attending the service. Community Funeral Home Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. Mr. Joe Swain died September the 9th. Funeral arrangement to be announced by Community Funeral Home. And Etheline Burney. Funeral service will be Monday, September 13th at 11 o'clock from St. John Missionary Baptist Church with burial in the Pine Grove Church Cemetery. Visitation Sunday, 1 until 7 at the funeral home. Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangement. And these obituaries this morning brought to you by Curtis and Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis and Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.